Good evening and welcome to the YEG Mayoral Soccer Panel. My name is Tim Adams. I'm your moderator for this evening. We are live streaming right now on the Edmonton Culture social platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And I want to welcome you here this evening to talk soccer and all things soccer in Edmonton. It's a big game in this city, whether it be from the 5-year-olds kicking a ball around in our grassroots programs or all the way up to our stars of Alfonso Davies and Steph Labbe, some of the two of the greatest players in the world right now coming from Edmonton. So we have a lot to celebrate here in our city. We have a lot to talk about with the FIFA Men's World Cup potentially coming to Edmonton in 2026 and lots to hear about from our mayoral candidates tonight. I want to start this evening just with a very gracious land acknowledgement to recognize where we are coming from tonight, coming from Treaty 6, the beautiful home of our Treaty 6 friends. Soccer is a game that's played on land. We need the air, we need the water, and we are so thankful for our friends who let us share this space with them. And Edmonton is going to be an amazing driver of soccer in this country and soccer in this world in the next 10, 20 years. And if we have a World Cup event like the 2026 Men's World Cup, we will have the opportunity to welcome the world to see Treaty 6, to see the rolling hills, the mountains, the rivers, to see our land and our nations around Edmonton and beyond across the province. And I'm just so excited to have the world experience our amazing partners and the friends that let us share this land with them. So a big thank you to our Treaty 6 friends who let us hold this space with them, and an acknowledgement to them tonight. As I mentioned, I am Tim Adams and the moderator for this evening. My title, as you can see there, is the host. And underneath that, it says Free Play for Kids. I'm the founder and executive director of a program called Free Play. As you can see on this side of my shirt, prior to it being called Free Play, it was called Free Footy. As maybe some people in Edmonton know, for about 12, 13 years, we operated a really large soccer program for vulnerable, marginalized, and at-risk youth. And it's evolved since then into lots of sports: soccer, hockey, basketball, and flag football, and really trying to make sure that everyone has access to recreation and play and community and belonging. But soccer is our anchor, and that's why I got asked to be your moderator this evening. And I'm really excited that we have 3 candidates with us tonight, and I'll introduce them in just a moment. But I want to get through a quick housekeeping order. Tonight really is not about sparring. We've had a long campaign so far. It's Friday. We have an election coming up really short. We're just really grateful for the mayoral candidates who are joining this evening to give us a bit of the time. So tonight is really about building some bridges to make sure that we understand the candidate's view of the city and how soccer fits into that view, and also to have a sense of what the soccer community cares about and the questions and the concerns that the soccer community has. Because regardless of whether one of the 3 folks we have here so far, and hopefully 4, regardless of whether they're in the big seat after Monday, we know that the folks who are joining us tonight are leaders in this city, and they'll be leaders for a very long time who care passionately about Edmonton. We want them to know about Edmonton's soccer scene, and we want to make sure that they're carrying that message across. So we're just really grateful that they're joining us here tonight. So tonight is really about building bridges, about hearing some of the concerns and questions, and about hearing the views of how soccer is seen at those higher political levels and those leadership levels in Edmonton. So we are going to get the candidates to introduce themselves. How this evening will work is they'll give a quick 2-minute introduction of themselves, and we'll go into some questions. If you know my background, I was a journalist for about 15 years with CBC, and I did a journalism massive faux pas, but I was asked to play nice, and we sent them the questions in advance. And so I'm not holding people to account and on the spot at the moment. They have been sent the questions in advance, and that means they've had a little bit of time to think about it. So they have a list of questions that we'll go through, and each candidate will get 2 minutes to look at those questions and give them a good answer. And for the folks who are listening behind the scenes here, the candidates who are listening behind the scenes here, they'll be given 2 minutes, and I'll give them a 10-second countdown when those 2 minutes are expiring if they're not close to it. And then my friend behind the scenes here will be actually cutting off the mic because we have a lot to get to tonight. So we want to make sure that everyone gets a fair opportunity to speak. So again, the forum here tonight is cordial, it's polite, it's fun. We're trying to understand some vision. We're trying to get through some questions really quickly. They've been given in advance. However, if you have a question, please send it to us. As I mentioned, we're streaming live with our partners, not just from YEG Soccer, but from Edmonton Culture. And that's on their Facebook page, their YouTube page, and Twitter. And those questions can come through live here, and we'll have an opportunity to ask the candidates your questions as well. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the floor. And we have three candidates here with us right now, with a fourth expected to join. And I'm going to give the floor to start over to candidate Diana Steele, who's joining us. She'll have 2 minutes to say hello, tell us a little bit about herself, and introduce yourself to the soccer scene. Over to you, Diana.
Okay, well, thank you so much for inviting me, you guys. I think this is my favorite forum of all the forums I've done. So I come from a soccer family, and I begrudgingly come from a soccer family. And I say begrudgingly because my whole life has revolved around soccer. My mom played, my dad coached, my two brothers played, and then I married a British soccer player. And then I ended up having two boys who now also play soccer. All my nephews play, and my oldest nephew just received a scholarship from Concordia, which we're super proud of as well. In 2015, I founded the nationally recognized Soccer Balls for Syrians, where we raised over $7,000 and handed out over 700 soccer balls to warmly welcome Syrian refugee children who were arriving in Edmonton. And I still remember the looks on their faces when we handed each of them a soccer ball. They didn't speak the language, but they knew exactly what we were giving them. So I have inevitably accepted the role of soccer in my life, and I am all in. I come from a football family, and I think it is time that we have a mayor in this city who promotes that a sport that is inclusive, affordable, and universal. Soccer has my full attention and dedication. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Diana. I really appreciate your introduction, and I love that Syrian effort that you had. If you don't know, a lot of the folks you'll see tonight, Diana and I were part of that project together many years ago. Diana, the big lead, but everyone here tonight have had some form of involvement within the past, and I just really appreciate your work in the community. So thank you. We will send it over next to mayoral candidate Kim Cruchel. Kim, the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that's great to hear, Diana. And Tim, what you've done with starting with free footy and free play is super admirable. For me, Edmonton has always and will be a city of champions in terms of volunteering in sports. Sports, of course, play a key role, not just, they play a key role in physical, mental health, and economic growth. And they are also critical for ensuring a level playing field for kids from all neighborhoods and backgrounds, and especially soccer and basketball. But soccer is so popular, and it's so important for so many kids in our city. Now, there are also many benefits of having a thriving professional and amateur sporting culture in Edmonton. And I would say that that's become more apparent than ever with what we've been dealing with in terms of the pandemic. COVID-19 has created unprecedented challenges for professional and amateur leagues and teams and players, fans, and our tourism industry and our economy more broadly. That's why a few weeks ago, I released my Places to Play plan in support of our professional and amateur sports in Edmonton. It's a bold plan that's even been endorsed by FC Edmonton, and it includes a commitment to attracting major sporting events like FIFA World Cup, creating an Edmonton Professional Sports Council Advisory Committee, and conducting a strategic assessment of sports infrastructure and venues. If there was ever a time for our city to rally together behind a plan to make sure our sports teams and sports culture help contribute to our economic recovery, it is now. And I see soccer at the forefront of this. For sports in our city and on so many other fronts, Edmonton is at a pivotal point in time. And I feel we need a leader who recognizes the many ways that sports play a critical role in a vibrant and connected city. And I'm ready to get out there and hustle for opportunities to highlight the value of our thriving sports culture in Edmonton. And I'm a leader who, for those of you who remember, who was on council, and I have a track record of getting things done. And so that is why I'm excited for Monday, October 18th. And that is one of the reasons why I stepped up to run in Edmonton. And I will say, my son was on soccer. All of the kids were in soccer. So I have always enjoyed the sport. And I have enjoyed the camaraderie and seeing kids so active. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. I love your jersey to start with. So thank you to Diana and Kim, who are wearing their jerseys tonight. And yeah, Kim and I also go back quite a ways. I covered City Hall while Kim was a counselor. And Kim supported Free Footy a lot back in the day. So really appreciate you being here. Really appreciate you releasing that policy and plan to support soccer and sport in the city. As we all know, it's a big driver of what we can do for this economy, and it's good for our families and for our kids. So thank you. I will turn it next to candidate Michael Oshry. Michael is joining us by phone tonight. And Michael, it's over to you.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, great. I was just double checking. Don't let that count as my time. So first of all, thank you for having me, and thank you everybody for doing this. And I apologize for not being on camera. I'm actually in a car going to something else I have to go to in about 45 minutes. So I apologize. You know, my experience with, you know, I remember the drillers and going to watch those games, and then playing soccer when I was a kid. And then I moved on to coaching. Actually, I coached little kid soccer, and just to tell you how long ago that was, though, is Craig McTavish's daughter was on the team with my daughter, and he came to watch when he was the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. So that was an enormous amount of pressure for me. But you know, I know what soccer does for the city. I know what recreation does, and I think most of you would know about my plan to expand Tim's awesome program of free play and to allow every kid in the city to do that. And Tim runs a pretty tight ship there, and it's very efficient use of our resources. So I'm very excited if the city would step up and expand that across the city. And then as well, you know, from that kind of program all the way up to professional soccer, you know, we need a new stadium, a small stadium for soccer, and you know, and we need other facilities. And so I've got a plan for recreation facilities and other small infrastructure around the city to make sure that kids and people are you know, able to participate at, you know, at every level, virtually every time. And so we really, you know, I'm a huge fan of recreation, and I'm a huge fan of sports, especially for kids, because, you know, for all the reasons that we all know why it's such a good thing. And so, you know, I'm just a big fan of all of this, you know, and we really need to step up as a city. So maybe I'll leave my comments there. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to the other questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. And I really appreciate your support of free play and your policy from the beginning of this. Really nice to just elevate the platform and the conversation around recreation and play, and how important it is for our social, emotional, and mental health. And I'm very excited to hear someday about Craig McTavish's review of your coaching performance. So I'm sure we'll get into that story at some point. But thank you for the first three so far for keeping your introductions tight. And I'm joined now by mayoral candidate Amarjeet Sohi. And Amarjeet, the floor is yours for 2 minutes. Thank you so much.
for putting this together, and everyone else who worked hard to bring us to have this conversation. Some of you know my history. I came to this city as an immigrant, and in my early days, because of the services that city provides, enabled me to connect to the community. And I'm a big soccer fan and a soccer player. I made friends in Edmonton by playing soccer when I was a new person to the city. Didn't have much support, but that's how I was able to build my connection to the community. And so I'm a big fan of soccer, and I'm a big fan of your work too, Tim. The work you're doing at Free Footy. Have supported you during my time on council, and when I was a federal minister of infrastructure, because I believe in supporting recreational and cultural facilities, I helped create a dedicated fund to support municipalities to build recreational and cultural infrastructure, because I really believe that those facilities help people build their capacity to participate in the community and live a healthy living. I also, when I was in city councilor, some of you may know that the Iberdent Park on 50th Street and Anthony Henday, I worked with the organization called Pusha to have that land available from the city so they could build soccer facilities, including fields, and they have a long-term plan to support growth of soccer in the southeast part of the city and in Edmonton. So I have a proven track record of working with community-based organizations to support soccer. So I look forward to our discussion today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate seeing you here, Amarjeet. Also, if you don't know, during my time at CBC, I was fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with you while you were at City Hall, as well as Tim, and we got to know each other really well. And I've always appreciated sharing space with you and hearing your thoughts. And then, yes, I've really appreciated your support of Free Footy when it was Free Footy, and then your support of this charitable status questions we've had trying to make free play what it is today. So
Yeah.
Everyone here today, I'm just really honestly grateful of everyone who's here tonight. There's just a stellar cast of people here tonight who will do good things for the city. So I really appreciate everyone for taking their time. So thank you for all of your introductions. In the essence of trying to keep things on track and keep things moving, I'll just do a quick reset here just so everybody knows what's going on. If you're just joining us, my name is Tim Adams. I'm the host for this evening as we're doing a mayoral soccer panel tonight. I'm joined by Amarjeet Sohi, Kim Krushal, Diana Steele, and Michael Oshry, who are all running to be Edmonton's next mayor and all are fantastic leaders in this city. And regardless of who is elected on Monday, we'll be excited to keep working with all four of them going forward because we know they'll be great leaders in the city. And tonight is really just about understanding their vision for the city, how soccer fits into that vision, and to making sure that the soccer community is represented. This is a big step. These kind of things, this kind of forum hasn't happened before to represent the soccer community. It's the largest sport in Edmonton and in Canada. It's growing faster than any other sport in this country. The most popular sport in the world. So lots of people care about it, but often it doesn't get the platform that it so deserves. And that's why it's so important. This forum was created tonight by YEG Soccer, YEG Soccer. The heart of that behind the scenes tonight, Ricardo Casanova, who's really been pushing the agenda of soccer to have a platform. We all love hockey in the city. We all love our Edmonton Oilers, but we know that soccer is an important place in the city as well, and want to make sure that the values of soccer are represented. So we are going to go over to our first question, and how this will operate is we're going to give everyone 2 minutes to just answer through these questions. These are questions that Ricardo and I worked on together, as well as some other members of the YEG soccer community, to try and just strike a balance of some of the high level issues that are present for soccer folks and the economic and social justice issues that are present in the city as well. And as I mentioned, despite my journalistic integrity, they were sent to you in advance. So hopefully we're all prepared. So the first question, and I will throw it over to Amarjeet Sohi. The first question is, do you support bringing World Cup 2026 to Edmonton and investing dollars to do so? And do you further believe the province should support this bid in the same fashion, which means not only supporting it, but investing with infrastructure, capital, and operating dollars to make sure that this thing goes ahead? So I'll start with Amarjeet and then work my way backwards to Michael, Kim, and then to Diana. So Amarjeet, you're 2 minutes on the clock. Over to you. Oh, I think you're on mute.
People are getting the same,
Yeah,
right?
There we go.
But it's fine now. I really believe in attracting major international events. I believe that's critical to building a vibrant city. So I would be supportive of bringing the cup. It's a
Oh, Amarjeet, if you can hear me, if you can pause for 5 seconds, if you can hear me here, because you're on mute.
Yeah. He looks like he has a really good answer, though.
Oh, Amarjeet, can you hear me? Thumbs up. Can you hear me?
Or me? Amarjeet, can you hear me?
I think we're having a minor technological glitch as happens in the digital world at the moment. So we're just pausing and we're going to give Amarjeet another crack at that question. Amarjeet, if you can hear me, can you hear me? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up. We'll make sure to get Amarjeet a message and we'll come back to you just because your microphone, if you can hear me, it didn't work. So Amarjeet, we're going to come back to you if you can hear me right now. We'll come back to you on that same question just because you were muted most of the time or something happened on our end. So Michael, if you're ready to go, if you could jump in on the same question again, just to remind everyone what the question is. Do you support bringing the World Cup 2026 to Edmonton and investing dollars to do so? And do you further believe the province should support this bid in the same fashion, which means not just a token of, yes, we support it, but investing money? So Michael, over to you.
So can you hear me first of all? Make sure.
I can hear you loud and clear. You're good. We have a photo of you up as well.
Good. Well, awesome. Okay. Well, first of all, I'll start. I heard Ajit, and he said absolutely not. He doesn't support any of this. Just to be clear. Of course, I'm joking. So first of all, I remember going to see Brazil play here, and I can't remember, who stars were at the time, and I remember, seeing the women play, and these really big events are really, really important for the city of Edmonton, and they're important for a numerous amount of reasons. One is, it puts us on the map. It sets us on the world stage. It's also very, very important for our economy. So when we have these big world scale events, as far as hotel rooms and restaurants and people coming from outside of the city to our city is just incredibly important. And so just that alone is reason to do it. And then plus just what it does for the vibrancy of the city, and then how it supports local sports. These things always filter down to, kids who go and see some superstar when they're a kid, and how that affects their life going forward. And so I'm just a enormous supporter of bringing in big events of all sorts, including, of course, the World Cup, and especially something that's prestigious. Is literally the most prestigious event in the world. Might even top the Olympics. And then secondly, the province, when I was on city council, we were trying to get the Commonwealth Games to Edmonton, and it didn't work out for economic reasons. But one of the challenges is we couldn't get the province on side at the time to get them to pony up. And so, I think it's vital that the province, which by the way is, letting Edmonton down on a numerous amount of reasons, needs to step up and support these kind of big events for the city. Cities have relatively small budgets compared to provinces, as we know, and we really need their resources in order to bring these these big world stage events to our city. So that's my long story short. It would be a huge boon for the city, and I'd be unbelievably supportive. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. I'm going to go next to Kim, and just as people join in and are listening to this, I'm going to keep resetting the question. So Kim, over to you next. Do you support bringing World Cup 2026 to Edmonton and investing the capital and infrastructure dollars to do so, and believe that the province should follow suit if you believe so? Over to you.
Good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Okay, good. Just double checking here.
Good.
As I actually said in my opening, as part of my plan for sports in Edmonton, we definitely need to explore the opportunity to bring the FIFA World Cup 2026 here to Edmonton. Not only would that inspire, in my opinion, the next generation of soccer superstars from Edmonton, but it would also be an incredible tourism and economic growth opportunity for our city. And I have no doubt that if we got it, it would definitely inspire across the country, our next Christine Sinclair or Alfonso Davies. So with our hospitality options that we do have in our service industry sector, I think Edmonton is really an ideal spot for a host city. Clearly, we will need upgrades in venue and opportunity for making sure that we put on an amazing event. And therefore, we will need to work with the province of Alberta and see what the federal government can do as well. I certainly have a track record of working with any level of government, no matter their political stripe. And I have a track record of getting things done for Edmonton. So I would show that type of leadership. And working with the soccer community, which is vast, I think that we would have a very good shot of getting what would be an amazing opportunity with the FIFA World Cup 2026. So thank you.
Thank you so much. So we will go now to Diana Steele. A quick reframe of the question. Do you support bringing World Cup 2026, which is the Men's World Cup that we're bidding for as a city host? It's coming to North America as a joint united bid between a few nations. And we're looking to bring some of the games here to Edmonton. Edmonton is one of the last Canadian cities standing who really wants the games to come here. And so we're just asking you, do you want to see the games come here? Would you be willing to put money behind it? Would you be willing to push the province to do the same? Over to you, Diana. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely yes to all of those questions. As Kim and Michael said, it puts us on the map. It contributes to the economy. It gives kids the opportunity to see their heroes and to see their chosen sport and to dream. Soccer does not get the platform that it deserves right now, and it's time to make soccer a priority in our city and in our province. So you can absolutely count on me to be a champion for you in whatever that looks like. So whether it's money or spreading the word or talking to the province or anything, I'm here to support you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. As we mentioned off the top, we had a little bit of challenges with hearing Amarjeet. I'm not sure if he's there now. If we can go back to Amarjeet just because the microphone wasn't working. We're trying to provide a cordial environment for everyone to get their answer across. So Amarjeet, can you hear me? Thumbs up.
Yeah, for some reason I'm getting a lot of static. Tim, can you hear me now?
I can hear you great now. We didn't hear your answer to this question. So again, we're just asking if you support the World Cup coming 2026 financially.
Absolutely, Tim. I believe that attracting international events is critical for building a vibrant city and putting us on the map. When I was a city councillor, I strongly advocated for Commonwealth Games to be brought to our city. As a matter of fact, I was part of the international delegation, and we traveled, meeting with delegates, trying to convince them to vote for Edmonton, and we almost got it. Then the province backed out, and we weren't successful. When I was a federal minister, I was there standing side by side of FIFA representatives to announce federal support and federal intention of supporting FIFA World Cup. Uh, and absolutely, I think I am the right candidate for this kind of work because I have connections throughout the country. I have experience working with various premiers, including 6 premiers in Alberta, and I will use those connections and experiences to leverage negotiations for our city to be successful for attracting international events.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the answer from all 4 of you. I'm glad the technology worked out. I'm also excited to hear, as obviously a huge fan of the game, everybody backing the World Cup bid. This is an incredible opportunity for our city and our country to, again, really showcase what we believe in the diversity of our city, which I think we really do a poor job of highlighting how diverse the city and how much culture and celebration we have here. And again, going back to that land acknowledgement, the opportunity we have to showcase our Indigenous friends and our Indigenous cultures in this beautiful province. So glad to hear everybody's on board, and glad to hear everybody wants to push the province and push the federal government to get this game going in 2026. I recognize that there's a question on the screen there. I really appreciate the question on the screen, and I will come to that in a little bit, but I want to blaze through the next couple of questions here. So I'm going to reverse the order on the next question just so we're prepared. So Diana, I'll come to you first. And so question number 2, if you remember, these questions were pre-sent to all the candidates. So question number 2, we all know that Edmonton is home to 2 of the world's greatest soccer players. We saw Steph Labe in the Olympics, and just the incredible performance between the pipes, and Alphonso Davies just the other night, just lighting the world on fire. And what pride we have in these 2 athletes, and a growing critical mass of grassroots players. And so the question really is, building on the last question, do you support further financial investment into soccer infrastructure? We're talking specifically about infrastructure here. So, we've seen just a nice nod to Scottish United and their beautiful dome, and a nice nod to the Edmonton Soccer Facilities Association of the indoor soccer culture that they've created, and a nice nod to the recent calls to have more street ball courts in Edmonton. Are you willing to put money, dollars, this is the key part here, dollars behind building more infrastructure to support the growth of the game and the sustainability of the game? So Diana, over to you first, please. 2 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question. Absolutely, I am, for sure. And I'm all about grassroots. I am the grassroots candidate in here. So I get that. I'm a firm believer in community sport. So I'm a fan of the street ball idea as well, because street ball allows kids to play soccer anytime in their community for free. And it allows them to play with other kids who are looking for a mental health break, or a safe place to go and maybe get away from struggles from home or things like that. I would also provide financial support for building more domes or soccer facilities. Anything you guys need, I'm here for you. Thank you.
Thank you. More infrastructure. Let's go. I'm sure that's what everybody is liking to hear. And hopefully the folks who say that, if they get in the big chair, they actually follow it up. Promises are one thing, doing it is another. But I'll send it back to Kim. Same kind of question here. We just talked about how Steph Labe between the pipes, winning us a gold medal. Alphonso Davies, just an incredible talent that we can all be proud of in the city, and what he did the other night to help us hopefully get to that place where we get to see the Canadian men's national team on an Edmonton stage. But do you support the infrastructure investment to build more facilities, to build more fields, to make sure the actual tools we need to grow the game is there? And would you put money behind it? Would you be willing to cut something else from the budget, if you so had to make sure that soccer infrastructure is supported?
Well, I
Okay.
think it's really important, especially. Can you hear me? We good?
I can hear you. You're frozen, but I can hear you. You're good.
Oh, okay.
And you're
Well, at
frozen
least
in a good spot. You're frozen with a smile.
that's good. um, look, back when my son played soccer and he ended up being on a club soccer team, I get that we need more facilities and opportunities in terms of infrastructure. What I want to do is an assessment of our infrastructure. Some of it has been done, some of it hasn't. And this would allow us to sort of get a sense of where we need to align our assets. I certainly want to close the gaps that I've heard from people that it's easier to actually book facilities outside of Edmonton, which is concerning. So there's things I think we could do to improve that. In terms of putting dollars, I mean, I want to be real with Edmontonians. We don't know our full fiscal picture. We know what the city is saying that they've got for a posted deficit, but we are leading the country right now in default on residential taxes. And I believe we will be, unfortunately, once the federal grant supports end, we will see a lot of businesses equally affected. So, I mean, I do think, though, and would be prepared to look at taking money from potentially other areas to put into facilities for sports, because it's so critical to have the full gamut of both amateur opportunity for our young kids, as well as working with and keeping our actual sports teams here. And so I think it's important to have those facilities, and I would be looking to find those dollars, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I appreciate the candor on that answer. That it's very easy to promise these kind of things, but coming out of still in a pandemic, and hopefully coming out of a pandemic, we all know the financial reality of every order of government, particularly the city. So we can promise things, but then there's the financial reality of doing it. So Michael, I think you're still there. We have you for a few more minutes here. Over to you, Michael, of the same kind of question is, how do you prioritize those infrastructure dollars when we know that the audience who's listening here wants to see more soccer infrastructure, and you have that balanced against all the other infrastructure needs that the city has? Where does your priority fall on that?
Sure. You can hear me okay still?
I can hear you okay. Yep, all good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I'll be pretty candid about this. We've got we've got a lot of challenges economically with the city coming up, and we're gonna have to be really careful with our money, spend really wisely. I mean, and without pandering, that's why I like the free play program so much, is because it's just for the amount of people that use it and the amount of impact it makes in the community. It's just a fantastic use of resources. And so we've got to be the same with our infrastructure dollars, because we do have a lot of debt on the books, and we do have a tough economic climate coming up. And my infrastructure plan is to have small neighborhood scale infrastructure where we could put playgrounds or soccer, I'll say smaller soccer facilities around the city for in 20, 30, 40 neighborhoods, rather than really big rec centers. We're just not going to have the resources for that. I'm just being pretty honest and upfront about it. But this neighborhood scale infrastructure could be used for smaller soccer facilities. So I'm also pretty interested about that as well. And so we're just going to have to be really smart with our dollars. And I don't want to overpromise something and not deliver. But the smaller scale infrastructure, I think, is the way to go. There's also a huge opportunity to partner with private sector. I've talked to lots of business owners, private sector individuals that are looking to partner with the city in a variety of infrastructure programs, including rec facilities. And so I think that's for some reason, our city seems to be hesitant to do that. And so I think that's a really untapped market that could do a lot for our city for a fraction of the taxpayer cost. And so that's something else that I've been looking at doing, and that I'd be really interested in moving the needle on as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Lots of interesting points in there. I would love to have more time to really get into the weeds of things. You would hear a lot, maybe it's not a soccer space conversation, but you hear a lot in the political discourse and a lot in the community space of creating 15-minute cities where we can access these kind of service within a 15-minute radius of our homes. And I think that's a little bit what Michael's alluding to. But then there's also that question of those P3 partnerships, and do they really work? And do we get the bang for our buck on them, and we can talk about the LRT forever on that question. But skipping that for the moment, there's definitely that question about, can we have more private investment in our recreation centers, and how do we also really work to make our spaces closer to home? We all know we don't want to drive across the entire city to access recreation. So our last one on this one, I'll go back to Amarjeet Sohi, just to reframe the question. We're just really talking right now, question number 2 of the night, about infrastructure, and whether the candidates here tonight who are standing before you to be our next mayor of Edmonton are interested and see value investing in soccer infrastructure. You know, the Scottish Dome is a great example. The Edmonton Soccer Facilities Association and the 3 facilities they built are great examples. Do we need more of that? Do you see line space in the budget for that? Would you be willing to carve that out when all those other priorities, as we know, coming through a pandemic, there's going to be a lot, and there's going to be a lot of things on your plate? So, Amarjeet, over to you.
Well, I have met with a number of people who are really passionate about soccer, and they have absolutely identified the need for full-size, all-season covered facility, one in South Side and one in the North Side. And also multi-purpose. I met folks who play cricket. They have needs for the fields, and there are other needs as well. So I would look for opportunities to build more multi-purpose facilities in partnership with the private sector and non-profit sector. Pusha is a good example. When I was a city councilor working with a non-profit sector in the Southeast, all we had to do was make the land available at a long-term lease, and they raised all the funds from their own donors, from private sector, from province, from the federal government. And I also would like to leverage the funding that is currently available from the federal government to build recreational facilities. So, we don't have to invest city money all the time. I understand there's a group in the North Side who's working with the city to retrofit one of the existing buildings around Nate. Right? So there are various options that we can explore. But the key is you need someone who has the ability to bring people together, someone who can collaborate with community organizations, and then bring the right people together to figure out the path to build these kind of facilities.
Thank you. I appreciate some of the key points on there a great deal. And, I know I'm catering to a soccer audience tonight, but I'm a huge believer in multi-sport, and a huge believer in kids trying lots of different things and adults trying lots of different things. And so I really appreciate the mention that, building a soccer dome or a soccer facility doesn't have to just be for soccer. It can be for cricket. It has the right surface in there. It can be for football. It can be for basketball. It can be for all kinds of different uses. And also that point of getting out of the way of, making sure there's room. We still have room in Edmonton with land, and making sure that the city can get out of the way sometimes to make sure that there's affordable deals on underutilized land, to make sure that these great nonprofit groups and charitable groups and private investors as well can make use of that to serve our recreation base. So thank you to you all for that answer. Just to reset again, we're going to move on to question 3 here. We are live streaming tonight thanks to Edmonton Culture. We're on their Facebook, Twitter feed, and YouTube feed, and also thanks to YEG Soccer and the heart of Ricardo Casanova, who's put this all on tonight with Edmonton Culture to make sure that we're talking about the needs of the soccer community, and you get to hear the vision of the candidates for mayor tonight. We have 4 of them here. Diana Steele, Kim Crushell, Amarjeet Sohi, and Michael Oshry, answering some of the questions that Ricardo and I and a few other folks from the YEG soccer community brainstormed together to try and give you a good sense of what this means, what their platforms mean for soccer in the city. So we're going to move to question 3. We've gone through 2 so far. Next one is a really big one, and a near and dear one, I'm sure, to all Edmontonians. Edmonton really prides itself on being a leader. And we know that sport and particularly soccer are highly inequitable spaces. We do not do a good job of making them accessible. Particularly, we do not do a good job of making them equitable for women and for young girls in this sport and in sports in general, but particularly soccer. And so it's a bit of a broad question, but if Edmonton prides itself on being a leader and being a so-called champion and being a world leader, what would you do in particular to make sure that women's soccer is in Edmonton is the leader in the country and across the globe? What would you do? So I'll just flip it around. Amarjeet got to end there. So Amarjeet, if you're okay with it, if you can see me there, if you can start, then I'll go from Amarjeet to Michael, then to Kim, and then to Diana. So Amarjeet, if you're okay to go, you're up about what you would do to make Edmonton a leader in women's soccer.
Okay, that means you can hear me, right?
I can hear you now. I can't see you, but I can hear you. Oh, there you are. Over to you.
Yeah, so
Oh, good.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I know one of my top priorities as mayor is to build a more equitable and fair city. And soccer, like many other activities, needs to be accessible to women, to all Edmontonians. One of the things that I really liked when we were struggling to make ends meet as a working class family were the community league programs that allowed us to put our daughter into soccer, and programs run by soccer associations that were pretty affordable, that we could afford as a most income family. So absolutely, I deeply believe that cultural facilities, sports, all should be accessible to everyone, and the financial situation should not be a barrier. And building facilities that are affordable, accessible is part of that plan. And these are the kind of initiatives that drive change, encouraging more multicultural community members, more women to participate, and that's how you grow a sport, and that's how you grow your community. So absolutely, equity is absolutely critical for me.
Thank you. Michael, over to you. A question about what would you do to make sure Edmonton is a world leader in women's soccer?
Well, Canada is obviously a world leader in the successes of our national team. And the reason that it's like that is because of funding and access to facilities. And, when you look at other countries where soccer is much more ingrained in the culture than it is in Canada, we've done a great job in promoting women's soccer, which is why we have those kind of successes. And it very much is absolutely ground, goes to the early age of when girls can start to play. And so for me, it's about making sure that there's access to facilities the same as there is for men and boys, and the funding is the same as men and boys, and that goes the same with any sport. So I think we have to ensure that there's equity in all sports, including soccer, and I think that goes a big way. And then we talk about it and promote it, and then celebrate women's successes in sports, the same way that we celebrate men's. And so there's a lot of work to be done, but that's sort of the way that I think about this challenge. And I just have to end off that I do have to go. I'm sorry, I have another event at 8:00 that I have to walk over to. So thank you for having me. I apologize for having to call in, and I apologize for leaving early, but I'm afraid I got to run.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you joining us for the time that you could, and enjoy your next event. And thank you for giving everybody the opportunity to hear how you would shape the city from a soccer perspective. So thank you, and enjoy your evening. Kim.
Thank you.
Kim Crushell, over to you. Yeah, question about making sure that Edmonton is a true leader in women's soccer in this city, and making sure that it's equity is a big word, right? There's fairness and there's equity, and equity means we need to put people who need it in a higher platform, not just give them the same sometimes, right? So, tell us how you would answer that question.
Well, I mean, first of all, I think this is an issue actually, obviously, for more than just soccer. for equity to exist, women need to be encouraged when they're young to play sports. That is happening more and more. But I think that we need to recognize and pay on the national stage and internationally in these sports women equitably in comparison. Men, obviously, in these sports are getting paid a heck of a lot more. And I think women, there is a growing market that is growing for people interested in watching women and soccer. And it's amazing. The games are great to watch. I think most of us noticed that in the Summer Olympics when Canada beat Sweden and won gold. I think women also bring a really interesting spirit to the game. You know, I was pretty touched when one of the Canadian soccer players, Zaldinsky, I think, was comforting the Swedish team when they lost. Women bring an interesting perspective in business, but we also bring a great perspective when it comes to sports. But I think it starts by making sure that young girls see an opportunity to play in sports. Soccer is one of the ones that's actually very popular. A lot of girls enjoy playing. They start through the community league process and through your organization like Free Play. And I think it's really important to help work with organizations such as yourselves to make sure that women are given the same access, especially women of diversity. It's sometimes more challenging, and make it as affordable as possible, whether that's through grants or other ways we can do it. And then I think that we need to encourage girls through leadership and showing, like the Christine Sinclairs, that they can make it on to the national stage and beyond in the sport. And I think having a female mayor would be one way of showing that women can be great when it comes to leadership and can be someone that can support young girls in sports, and in particular soccer.
Here, here. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate the tie between, you know, getting that chance to play and getting that chance to show leadership in a sports space. We're talking about soccer tonight, but how that can transfer to where we are today and great female leaders that we have on this platform who play the game, love the game, understand the game, and that's part of their DNA too, and part of why they're here today, and how soccer can be a foundation for that. So I appreciate that. Soccer is more than kicking the black and white ball into a net. It's a lot more than that. It can provide a lot more than that. So Diana Steele, over to you on the same question of how do we make Edmonton a world leader in women's soccer and making sure that the space is not just fair, but equitable. And we really showcase that to the world.
Well, we need to showcase females, so we need to bring more pro soccer soccer events here that are only women. And we need the same access to sport in our city. Like Michael said, he also said celebrate the successes the same way we celebrate men's successes. Absolutely, that is correct. And then Kim stole my answer because I was going to say we need to put a female mayor in a soccer jersey in the FC Edmonton stands. And well, Kim, you and I can go to the games together and we will recruit girls to play soccer that way.
Agreed.
I love it. Yay. I love the unity. That's awesome. A quick one just to break up the flow and to keep it a little bit more fun. There's a question in the chat, and then I'll move on to the next serious scripted question that we provided. Diana, who's your favorite soccer team?
Well, if we're talking Edmonton, it's FC Edmonton.
Okay.
If we're talking internationally, I think I've signed a contract with my ex-husband. It has to be Liverpool.
Okay. Kim?
Oh, FC Edmonton, hands down. I mean, look what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Well, and I've been a fan like in the early stages, and I think it just does so much for Edmonton. Like, because young kids really look up to those players. So I think FC Edmonton.
Nice. And Amarjeet, who's your favorite team? Oh, he's in the chat. He's saying that he can't hear us right now. So we'll come back. The technology challenges just continue. This is the world that we all live in at the moment. So that's okay. We'll get back to hear Amarjeet's favorite team, I'm sure, in the near future here. If you can see on the screen, though, there's 4 of us right now. Michael Autry left, but Ricardo Casanova is on your screen as well. And I just wanted to take 2 minutes here for a brief pause, and we'll move to some other questions. But just to recognize Ricardo as the founder of YEG Soccer, and if you could, Ricardo, just give us the 2 minute spiel on why it's important to you, what it means to you, and where you see soccer going in this city. You're on the clock, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim. I think it's I've been kind of ringing this bell for a long time, but soccer has the opportunity, the ability to create social change, and we neglect it, at our peril. We have an opportunity to use soccer because it's already there. We don't have to, introduce kids. We don't have to force kids. It's there. It is the sport that that kids gravitate to. The first thing that we do once we learn how to walk is kick a ball. And so I think it's extremely important, and that's why I kind of double down on soccer, and I become very unapologetic in my advocacy for it, is because we have so much opportunity to create positive experiences for kids of all stripes, colors, whatever. So I think it's important that we invest in the infrastructure. When you start to talk about inequality when it comes to females, and socioeconomic issues, it's a massive issue, and we can solve it. We really can. And soccer is that universal language. I love soccer for that, because no matter what language you speak, where you come from, we can pick up a ball and we can kick it around, and we don't have to know each other. And it's to the benefit of our kids. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate your drive and your passion, and sometimes lighting people on fire on Twitter. That's what it takes. So but I appreciate the passion. It's coming from
my temper gets the best of me sometimes, and I say some stupid things, but it's my passion, and it really comes down to what's best for the kids. And I've had lots of opportunities where I've kind of gone back to people that I've kind of lit up on Twitter, and I said, my bad. I get it. I was just fired up at the time, but so I've had lots of those opportunities, and I'm not arrogant enough to, walk my comments back and just kind of say sorry, So, but at the end of the day, it's for the benefit of the kids, and that's what matters. So.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I think we have Amarjeet back, and he's letting us know that he has to wrap up soon too. And I'm guessing that Kim and Diana also have a lot to do and a lot on their plate. So if you don't mind, if I just throw one more question at you, and then if anyone is able to hang out until 8:30, we can keep going. I'm happy to, but also give just a bow out time to continue on to the rest of your political lives and trying to get your name out there. So I'm just going to go to one that I think was actually near and dear to all of us when we talked about it, because it's a little bit transcendent to soccer, and it's more it actually relates a lot more to policy. It relates a lot to 15-minute cities. It relates a lot to speeds. It relates a lot to like the 40-kilometer-an-hour reductions in neighborhoods. It relates to so many policies. And the question is, what are the barriers you see to unstructured play? We've talked a lot tonight about World Cup and professionalism and infrastructure and building all these things, but that unstructured play, the opportunity, like when we were all kids, you went out on the field and you kicked a ball around, you threw a ball around, and it seems like that's a barrier at the moment. So can you identify one or two things that you see as huge barriers to unstructured play and how you would remove them? And Amarjeet, if you can hear us now, which I think you're okay and you're pressed on the clock, I'll throw it to you first, and then I'll go back to Kim and Diana. So Amarjeet, over to you. Unstructured play and how you'd remove the barrier.
Yeah, I think one of them is the availability of green space fields. In some areas, they're abundantly available. In some new areas, they are not, particularly areas that have a lot of kids. So that's one. The second one is safety as well. I think we have seen over the last few months in Edmonton, a lot of racialized women, girls, particularly Muslim women, girls don't feel safe out being in public places. So, how do we improve safety for them so that they feel comfortable? And how do we continue to support community leagues and soccer associations that they can run unstructured, casual as well? I think those are the three areas I would think are could help us remove some of the barriers if we can improve them. Improve them.
Thank you. And do you have to run?
Yes, I have to run now. Sorry about that.
Okay, well, I want to thank you on behalf of Edmonton Culture and YEG Soccer and all the soccer community for taking the time to attend this evening. And best of luck. And we'll look forward to hearing the results next week and working with you regardless, making sure that soccer and recreation and the values of community and belonging are reflected. So best of luck and thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Kim, over to you. I think this one might actually be kind of near and dear to your heart of that unstructured play and making sure that communities and neighborhoods are safe. And how do you change some of the policies and procedures in place to create that? So yeah, over to you. What are your thoughts?
One of the first things, actually, when I was on city council, I really focused on the neighborhood renewal plan, which is now fixed a lot of the neighborhoods that are in the core so that you have the streets and the sidewalks that are safer, which have parks and other safety. Like some of the community leagues have adopted the opportunity to look at more measures to make it safer in the area, whether that's improved lighting, which is really important, or coming up with ways to reduce the speeding that might happen in a neighborhood when it makes sense to do so in a particular busy area. So those things I think are the easier part. I think the biggest challenge we have is we need more. We have a lot of community leagues, which is great in Edmonton. We need a more community hub approach where kids can utilize the fields that are in areas, whether it's a school field. And I think we could do a lot better job of providing opportunity for booking those more effectively so that kids have places to play. The barrier is that every field's booked. So that's really challenging for kids just to go and play in a park. So that's an area I think we could improve. The other challenge is we're a winter city. And so when there's snow on the fields, it's not such an easy thing. And so, of course, everybody wants access to the indoor soccer locations, and there aren't enough. And so that's a challenge. And that's one of the things that I would want to look at from an infrastructure perspective. For example, Commonwealth Stadium and others come to mind. Is there a way that we can extend the shelf life and use it for multi-purpose? Can we look at creating cheaper recreation facilities than the big ones that we're building, which are great, but do they really meet the need of kids that are in areas where they don't have access? Transit is the other big thing. Is there a way for us to make it easy for kids to access transit safely and be able to get to some of these locations? One of the things I did when I was on council that has made a difference, it's not necessarily specific to soccer, but was the creation of the African Center when with Stephen Mandel when he was mayor. We actually did that in response to the community telling us that we needed sports for youth and that this would be a really critical thing to bring, in particular, Somalian kids who were coming in as refugees that needed an outlet for learning how to be part of Canada and learning that sports and opportunity were there. So we did that. That was focused on basketball, but soccer is a piece of that. And of course, you, Tim, are an expert in understanding how important it is to have structured but unstructured play for kids. I mean, this is what your passion has been, and you have made a huge difference. So I would be looking at ways to really make a difference in this area. One of the things that really concerns me is when we look at, where we're having at-risk youth and challenges, it's really important to give access to sports for these kids. So you're already doing it. The more that we can make it easy in every community to have kids just kick a ball, the better.
Thank you. I really appreciate the answer and tying it all together. So there's a lot to take away from that answer, and a lot to take away even just from that winter city point of we're a winter city, and how do you make unstructured play or structured play accessible in the winter when we associate it with a field sport. But a lot of Scandinavian countries have figured out how to do this, and we're still kind of beating our head
Well, they
against.
have. And I
Yeah.
think that we could probably look at doing things a little differently. There's rinks that we have. Is there ways to do things a little differently? And I think that there is.
Yeah, and I'll springboard this onto Diana, but we have the Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues, which is a unique thing across the country where there's a lot of infrastructure and already in place in many neighborhoods, and a little bit of capital dollars could see those grow to be a bit more climate and weatherproof, to support all kinds of different play outside of just a community hockey rink that we rely on volunteers to flood and make into a hockey rink. There's maybe some small infrastructure investments we can make to make play more accessible year round. So, Diana, over to you. What the frame of this question was, as kids, we were the kids who went out and kicked a ball around or threw a ball around and played on the neighborhood hoop. And we're caring about soccer tonight, but it seems from the old person perspective that that doesn't happen as much as anymore. So, what are the policy things that we can do? What are the barriers that you see, and how do we remove them? Over to
Well,
you.
the barriers are access to space, as everyone has said, which is why I love the street ball idea so much. As long as kids have access to land and they have boots and a ball and land in their community as well that's easily accessible to them, then they're good to go. So we need to work with our community leagues. Maybe we need to offer them grants to put these street ball platforms in. We need to make it affordable, and it is actually pretty affordable. When we saw Ricardo's presentation, I think it was around $200,000 to put these units in, which is affordable for many community leagues in Edmonton, especially if they're given large grants from the city. And we just need to make sure that we've covered off multiple areas in the city so that we're giving access to all kids in Edmonton. And I think also Ricardo mentioned that these could be cleaned off in the winter, so we didn't have a lot of concerns about snow. And then they're just accessible year round. So I have a big passion for the street ball idea right now. So I hope we're able to move that forward pretty quickly in the city.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, the street ball, obviously, for everyone who's listening from a soccer audience, it's not a big deal anywhere else around the world, but for some reason, it's a big deal for us to create it here and to create that. So much of it is tied to the culture, but also tied to the infrastructure investment that we need to do these things. And we already have the Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues. We already have 80% of the infrastructure there. It's a 20% tweak to really capitalize on something that we already use and don't get to actually use as much as we truly could, and also recognize how much volunteer power that everyone puts into their neighborhoods here. That's something that Edmonton can truly leverage. Just recognizing the clock, I want to maybe go to one last question, and that question will just be give you each 2 minutes to wrap up and to say your final spiel. But before we do, I just want to obviously recognize and thank you all for who are here tonight. Amarjeet Sohi, Michael Oshry, Kim Kershell, and Diana are still here with us this evening. And so we've been talking for the last hour about soccer in Edmonton and what that means and how that fits into the mayoral candidate platforms and what their vision of the city is. And we've heard some really great answers. And tonight was not about challenging and sparring with everybody, although that would be super fun too. And maybe we'll save that for another day. It's just about hearing their ideas and hearing how they see the city. And it's been really, really, really nice to hold space with everybody here. So I'll wrap it up in a nice bow after your final answers. But Kim, over to you to just give us a 2-minute close on your hopes and dreams and where we're going. So over to you.
Well, I think I'll be short and brief. I do want to say I really like the idea, and Diana, your passion coming through on that. So definitely, I think we should do more on the street ball idea. But I want to start by saying in the closing, we're all here today because I think, like me, you all love Edmonton, and soccer is part of that fabric and sports in general. And what I love about the city is fact that we are multicultural, that we have different diverse backgrounds and that we can learn from each other. And that one thing that unifies all of us is that we do care about our communities. And that's shown and demonstrated because we do have community leagues. We have an amazing, strong system for sports as well, and lots of not-for-profit volunteer organizations that are making such a huge difference. But our city is going to be facing some tremendous challenges in the next 4 years. And while I get that we're going to face some fiscal realities, I also see opportunities. And I feel that it's really important in this next election that we have a leader who doesn't just have the experience and the understanding of how to get things done, but who is also willing to collaborate and work with others who have great ideas, like the ideas that have been presented tonight. And that leader also has the courage and the know-how to empower all of us to seize opportunities. And so sports to me is part of that. It is the part of the fabric of our community. And it is really important, as I've said previously, not just about helping our kids and helping us for mental health and getting physically fit, but also for economic growth and making a difference every day in terms of what we do in Edmonton in our lives and making them better. So I feel that we are going to need a leader who is able to work with all levels of government, that's not interested in divisiveness or party politics. And I have a track record of, being balanced, but I'm also able to be bold. And I have that right mix of skills and experience. And I feel that my proven track record speaks for itself, and that the reason that I hope that people will consider supporting me on October 18th is because I believe that we need to vote for something. And I know that there are people who are talking about divisiveness and fear, and I get that people are concerned about our future. I think that there is opportunity. I think I'm the right leader for this time to move that forward. And I ask that, don't vote against something, vote for something. And a vote for me is a vote for Edmonton and sports in Edmonton. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Diana, over to you. Give you the floor to tie it all in a bow for yourself and do your final bid.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me to participate tonight. I do appreciate that. And Tim, I do want to say thank you for everything that you've done for the kids in Edmonton. I've been such a huge fan of yours since I met you back when we started Soccer Balls for Syrians. So thank you for participating in that with me and for changing those kids' lives for sure. And I am happy that you get the acknowledgement in the city that you deserve. So I'm very pleased that's going on. I was really excited about tonight's forum for two reasons. One is I'm extremely passionate about supporting soccer in our city. As I said, it's equitable, it's diverse, it's inclusive, and that is something that our city should get behind 100%. And if I am elected mayor of Edmonton, then you can count on me to champion this all the time. And soccer will be just as well known as the Elks and the Edmonton Oilers, if not more, because I will not shut up. But also, this is the last forum I have in my calendar. So that's also why I was really excited about tonight, because I don't have to do any more now. So yay for me.
Yay for you.
Yeah.
Wine. Red wine.
So in closing, vote Steele on October 18th, and soccer is life.
Hey, well, I'm so grateful that you picked us as your last forum. So thank you so much. Thank you to the two of you who are still here. I'll do a quick wrap up, and then it's okay if I let you go, and then I can hang on to Ricardo for a few minutes, and we'll close it all up. But just thank you again we had here tonight for the YEG, however you want to say it, a mayoral soccer panel organized by Ricardo Casanova and the YEG soccer crew and Edmonton Culture, who's live streaming this tonight on their Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channels. And there will be a recording of this that we post and chop it up into clips to share with everybody. But we had here tonight, as you can see, Kim and Diana, as well as Amarjeet Sohi and Michael Oshry, who joined us this evening to talk all things soccer and talk really about what soccer means to the city and what community building means to the city, because that is the true heart of the game, is to build community and have a place to belong. So thank you again for being here, to Kim and to Diana, and enjoy your weekend. You made it. You're here. It's the home stretch, and I really hope you get a little bit of peace and quiet after all this, or you get a really, really busy life, one or the other. But I really look forward to talking with you after it calms down a tiny bit for you. So thank you so much for being here again, and we'll let you go. And Ricardo will hang on to you for 5 more minutes here, if that's okay. So we'll say bye to Kim and Diana. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Last
Thank
forum.
You, Ricardo. Thank you,
Last
Tim.
forum. Woohoo!
Look, Diana and I are the last here.
Yay! We appreciate that. We
We
appreciate
can
that.
get along.
Yeah. Well, we've seen that the whole election, so I
Yeah,
appreciate
that's true. Actually,
It's
we
nice
really
to see.
have.
It's nice
It's
to see.
great to see. It is great to see that.
Yes. It's,
So
building allies, building friendships, building community. Like, and as I said, no matter who gets elected, like between the four of you who are here tonight, all of you are going to be doing incredible things for this city, and it's just good for the soccer people to know who you are and to know that there's an ally there, because no doubt that you'll land in some other awesome position, shaping our city and province and country. So really just appreciate you hearing the questions. So thanks again for being here and for being reasonable, nice people who get along with each other. That means a lot too. I appreciate
Yes.
that a lot. It's important.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Ricardo. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Good night.
guys. Good
Bye.
night.
Good night.
Okay, Ricardo, it's you and me left. We got the split screen going on between the two of us here. We'll just wrap it all up, but
Sure.
yeah, I'm really happy with how that went. It was a kind of a harebrained idea of yours to make this happen, and there, honestly, to your credit, there's no one who pushes soccer in the city like you do, and it's important. It's really important. It's really important to see four of the candidates give a platform to it. That's a big deal. Like that hasn't happened. I don't think we've ever seen that happen. So how do you feel of just getting four people to come on and who are potentially going to be the next mayor talking about soccer and putting it at the top of the table? How do you feel?
I think it feels good. I mean, I think it's been a challenge, like this battle, this initiative with YG Soccer has been, 6 years old, of trying to just educate people as to the positive social impacts that soccer has in our communities. And I think I think free footy was started, much before that, right? So
Mhm.
it's been a battle. It very much has been. So this was very nice. Like usually every year, or every election year, I send out a survey for them to fill out,
Mhm.
and see who responds. But I think this was a lot better. This was a lot more interactive, and I think it was I think it was a positive experience for not only the soccer community, but I think it was a positive experience for people that need to just start to look at the soccer community as a contributing member of society.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I think the soccer people listening will understand. Like it's not a culture that sometimes gets along. Like there's a lot of competing interests within the community, and lots of people who have their own views of how the games should be played and how it should be run and how it should be organized and who should have the power. And but maybe tonight is a tiny bit to show, like, hey, if we put all our name behind one united front, we can have the ear of four candidates, and one of them potentially be the mayor.
Well,
And
I
so,
think
how do you? I guess the question to you is, we spar with lots of people, you and I, but how do we keep building that like community where we try to get along a bit better so that we can advocate with one voice? Because it's very hard to advocate with 20, 30, 40, 100 different voices in the same city.
that's always been the challenge, and I think, between all the different leagues and clubs and academies in Edmonton, I think it has been a challenge to have that united voice. Like a lot of the other sports have the united voice. But I think we're slowly getting there. Like, I think we're like baby stepping towards that direction where like, guys, we need to work together. We're all passionate about the sport, and we all care about the kids. And that, again, that's one of my big things is being able to say, okay, let's self-reflect what we are doing. Is this good for the kids? Number one, right? Number
Yep.
two, is this good for the sport? Right. And if that doesn't pass the taste test or the litmus test, then, okay, we're not doing that. Like, it shouldn't be something we're doing, because if it's not good for the kids and it's not good for the sport, then we're wasting our time. So, my anxiety it causes me to have to do that self-reflection of like, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? So that self-reflection for me is, it's a lifesaver, because it really comes down to, okay, let's, pump the brakes. Are we doing what's best for kids?
Yeah. And we all
that's
have
what it comes
different
down to.
roles, right? We all have different roles, Speak to Free Play. We have a role of making sure there's inclusion and access, and we're breaking down all the barriers. But that our job is not to form professional players, and there's lots of other people who are great at that.
Yep.
We all have a role to play, a piece of the puzzle.
Yep.
The more we can hopefully start recognizing that everyone's little piece fits together somehow.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be so acrimonious, and have that united voice, especially, just to touch on, like, we're trying to get the World Cup to come here. Like, that's a big deal. Like, outside of,
Well, and we didn't really touch on Alfonso Davies' performance on Wednesday. Like, we didn't
Yeah.
talk about that. He like, the world blew their mind. Like, everybody just lost their minds on Davies, right? And he's an Edmonton product. Whether you think he gained that here at Free Footy or Whitecaps or in Ghana, or doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that his hometown is here in Edmonton. His family lives here, and he came from here. So he provides that beacon of hope for other kids in our communities that can actually go out and do something amazing in the world and for Canada. He really put Edmonton on the map, and Canada on the map, for that matter, in short order. It was one game and one play, but it's something that we've all been sitting there watching, going like, oh yeah, they'll see eventually, right? And then they saw that one play and they're like, oh, we're like, we've been saying that for 2 years. Like, come on now.
Well, and the cool part about his goal was, like, it showed the value. It spoke so much to me about his character, his values, which hopefully speaks to his character, his values of the city. And, like, people like to say this happened and that happened, but at the end of the day, he did it and no one else did it. And there were lots of other little people along the way who supported him. And it's fantastic. But at the end of the day, he learned the value of working your ass off and hard work. And, hey, the ball's over there and someone's dogging it, and I'm going to sprint there faster, and I'm going to get the ball. And it's a hard work goal. It's an Edmonton goal, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, and the question on the screen here, like, will Canada qualify for the World Cup? I have no doubt and no question that that's going to happen. And I just want to see an Alfonso game in 2026 here in Edmonton. Like, I would love the united voice to be game one should be in Edmonton. If Alfonso's the player of the universe and the player of the world at the time, which by 2026, that's not too far of a stretch of imagination for North America. Game one, Edmonton, Commonwealth Stadium. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I think even these games in November 12th against Costa Rica, November 16th against Mexico, Edmonton has that I don't want to say expectation, but I guess that that reputation for being maniacs when a sport event comes to town, right? So, I have full expectation, even though it's going to be cold. I'm going to put my thermals on and my stadium jacket, and I think we'll sell it out. I think we'll blow it out, just like Edmonton always does and sets records. And and this
Yeah.
is Fonzie's homecoming.
Totally.
You
And
know?
there's so many people who can celebrate, there's the guys at BTB, and there's the Inter guys, and there's the St. Nicholas Soccer Academy, and
Strikers.
Strikers, and Alberta Soccer, and everyone can celebrate a little bit of like, oh, at some point we saw this kid,
Yeah,
like,
right.
and then all of his friends, and just what a genuine, like, good character. Like, that's someone that everyone, no matter who you are, you can just get behind that kid because he's just a good dude. Like, it's nice to see a good person do good,
Yes.
and to celebrate. So there's no reason that we can't all put on a toque and put on a thick jacket and get down to the game and fill Commonwealth Stadium safely, of course.
Yep.
Safely, of course. But that's the stage setter, right? If we can be there in -20 and really fill the stadium and show that, hey, this is what Edmonton is made of, and Alfonso puts on a great show, then game 1, 2026, Commonwealth Stadium. I will accept nothing less.
Mind blowing, right? Like, just,
Mind-blowing, yeah.
I've never seen it in my lifetime, like the opportunity to have Davies here in Edmonton, and the Canadian national team being not the underdog, really.
Yes, totally. And the piece that we like never really got to touch in, and I know we have to wrap it up here, but just it's always hard to quantify these world events in terms of their economic impact. And we'd like to say it's going to put out this amount of money and it's going to fill these hotel rooms, but the opportunity to just showcase Edmonton and our Indigenous history and our Indigenous culture in and around Edmonton, and across Alberta, that alone is worth the opportunity to gain some more support for our Indigenous friends, to make sure that we put a spotlight on them. We're truly giving them the support they deserve, and to showcase our landscapes. Right? I get when we had the big hockey events here, and they tried to pretend like it was the mountains were super close to Edmonton, not quite. But there's a real opportunity there to just showcase what we're about and showcase our culture and community. So yeah, I'm super excited to see the games coming up in November. I hope we see everybody there. If you see me there, it's hard to miss my bald head and my beard, even if it's under a mask. I'm sure you'll see Ricardo. Please come up and give me a fist bump. Say hello. Let's chat the game. And again, just want to thank everybody here for joining us tonight. If you're watching it live or going to watch it on a recording or see a little clip of this, just a big thank you to Edmonton Culture and YEG Soccer for pushing this agenda, and for Edmonton Culture for running all the behind the scenes tonight and putting all the fonts up there and the name titles and switching cameras. And it's not easy. As a journalist, I understand it's not easy. It's been pretty seamless, considering we practiced 5 minutes beforehand. So, kudos to the man behind the scene who wants to remain nameless, but kudos to the guy who may or may not be named Christian. So thank you to him, and thank you to everyone for joining. And of course, thank you once again to all the mayoral candidates who joined us here tonight. And we'll look forward to the election coming up. And, no matter how you vote, the most important thing that you do is to vote. Going a polling station doesn't vote. You have to be the person that votes. And no matter what you believe, you have to get there. So go there.
Yep. The first goal is to vote. The second goal is to vote for the candidate that will support soccer, because it supports all sorts of social programs underneath. It's amazingly impactful to our communities. So that's how I vote. And some people disagree with me, but I vote based on who is going to be pro soccer, because I know it's going to support the least privileged people in my community. So
there you go. So closing remarks from the man himself, Ricardo Costanova. And thank you again to everyone who joined us tonight. Voting Monday. You're out there. Get to the polls. Make sure that your vote counts, no matter how it goes. Thank you again for joining us for the YEG Soccer Mayoral Candidates Forum, the first that's ever happened, as far as we're aware, in this city. And hopefully you enjoyed some of the questions, and keep the questions coming. This is going to be recorded. It is recorded. It will be posted through the Edmonton Culture Facebook YouTube and Twitter accounts. We'll chop up some clips and put them out there too. And let's start the conversation. Let's keep it going. This is the starting point, no matter who ends up in the big chair on Monday. It's a start of a conversation, the start of relationships. It's an opportunity for us all who care about this game to come together. Hey, let's use it as a chance. Reach out, shoot me a message, shoot Ricardo a message, shoot a message to someone else in the soccer community and say, hey, let's just have a chat, whether it's a virtual drink or a safe distance meetup. Let's get together. Let's make it happen. Let's advocate with one voice in the soccer community to show we're all together and we're all united and we want to see good things for our kids and our community. So thank you again. I'm Tim Adams. I'm the host of this evening, and I really appreciate you sharing space with us. And hopefully we'll get to do something similar to this again when we have someone in the seat and have a few counselors in the seat, and maybe we can convene them all again to talk soccer. So thank you again, and enjoy your weekend and get out on Monday for the big vote. Thank you.